good morning to our listeners. Good morning to our viewers of Classic Radio and the viewers of GBN TV. Good morning, welcome. It's another edition of To The Point. It's Thursday, the 9th day of April. Just a couple of days ago, we were saying welcome to the month of April. Already 9 days within. Good morning once again to those of you by our social media platforms. We're talking about the Facebook page, YouTube channels, those of you even via gbn.gd, our webpage. Good morning to you. Certainly a pleasure to have you. You always want to say also good morning to those of you driving along on the nation's roads. Of course, our conversation this morning, of course, I know we were talking general safety. Myself and, of course, is it Corporal Redhead? Corporal Redhead, yeah. So I always messing up the title that comes before the name, But so we have Corporal Redhead. Our conversation is really going to be on general safety this morning, but driving. The safety in terms of individual driving on our roads also is pivotal and important.
Definitely.
This is important also, so I want to say good morning to you. And before I move on, I have to mention this. I keep forgetting, and I hope maybe it's Corporal, Redhead name I might call, you never know. Someone may have lost their telecard, and it bears the name of Gino, yes, that's Gino Charles. If you know that individual, we do have it here at GBN. They could pop by, some form of identification to prove it's theirs. So Gino Charles, if you lost your ATM card, we have it here for you at GBN. Please pass by and pick it up. So if you know Gino, hey, tell him, hey, GBN has your telecard, pop by. All right, Corporal Redhead, good morning once again. Welcome. How are you doing this morning?
Thank you again. I'm great, I feel lively, I feel active. I had a good rest last night, so
I certainly had a good rest myself, and I had really 2 cups of strong coffee for the morning. So you know,
and it's a bit strange. It's dry. We're in the dry season, and the rain seems to be blessing us at night.
I was having a conversation with someone about that this morning, and I was saying it's kind of rare you see all that rain in April.
Definitely, yeah.
It's kind of rare. Not that we may have never had it, but the rain in April.
True. And I don't know if it's as a result of the climate change.
I think those guys visited around the moon the other day.
Oh, yeah? Oh,
Lord. I just had to pop that in. When you cause those interference, you know what happens. You know what happens. All right, as mentioned, our focus conversation this morning will be on general safety. And we're talking general safety in the sense of public safety.
Right.
And if we're going to reference that, you go downtown St. George.
Yeah.
You having a good time. We just wrap up the Easter, probably have some cash packing for some reason or the other. You're walking around. You may feel comfortable with Grenada is a safe place still. As in, incidents may do happen from time to time, but Grenada is generally a safe place. I of course say that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and the beauty about that, it is known worldwide.
Grenada is a safe place, you know. Incidents do happen. Sometimes it's a little bit thing that we may not like to see happen, but incidents do happen. But Grenada generally is a safe place.
It's a safe place.
So your safety is important, and you have to pay attention to what's happening. You understand? Let's start showing out some advice to folks, especially when it comes to general public safety.
Right.
If you have to summarize how I mentioned that there for you in general, and share some tips for that to our listeners and viewing audience. Let's go with that for starts.
Yeah. First of all, let me start by thanking the general public for the assistance and cooperation from the character games. We were just coming out of the character games. It was really, I think it was a huge success. Saw the crowds coming out. Persons were mindful. I worked there over the weekend, so I noticed a lot of Grenadians. They were paying attention to the rules and regulations. And we didn't have any large outbursts. I think we were great hosts as a country. So I want to big up the whole of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique for being excellent hosts to the persons. I didn't hear of any great incident of anything happening out of the ordinary, persons getting hurt, and these type of things, persons losing their items being stolen and so big up to Grenada.
And that's a plus. That's a plus.
Definitely. Definitely. I also want to big up the officers for doing a wonderful job. I see them boots on the ground, the different shifts. They coming in early and relieving each other and assisting persons when needs be. So, and we always want to emphasize that as a Royal Grenada Police Force, we always say protect and serve, but you can see it happening. Yeah. There are, of course, as you mentioned earlier, there are isolated incidents where things happen that we are not pleased with. Yeah. But one of our main objectives in conducting our law enforcement activities is to also try and achieve zero defects. So we see things happening and we want to correct it as we go along. And that's the idea. And we can't do it to the public. So we always invite the public to assist us and help us to identify these things. Going down into the nitty-gritty, to the meat of the matter, why I'm here, in terms of general safety, as you mentioned, GT, I'm glad you mentioned Tongue, because the tongue of, well, we know St. George's is the Mecca, you know, but...
I mean, though, I hope the folks in the outer parishes don't feel...
Oh, no, of course. And I was going to back it up.
We just kind of focus a little bit on the tongue of St. George.
I was going to back it up and even say that, you know, we should pay attention even in... It doesn't have to be in the tongue.
Yes.
It doesn't matter where you are. Even at your home, you should practice having that mindset of general safety. And it all starts with your awareness.
Yeah.
Always be aware of your surroundings. It doesn't matter, as I said, where you are. You could be in a crowd. Of course, if you're in a crowd, you should be more focused. You should be more attentive, because the likelihood of, and I know you know GT about the crime triangle, the opportunity is increased in a crowded environment, because your attention, well, there's a study that says that we can't multitask as human beings. We only switch from item to item very quickly.
Quickly, yes.
And with all the distractions that we have, our phones, and I'm sure you can see persons walking across the pedestrian crossing with their phone in their hands, they're listening to music, they're watching reels. I see a lot of...
And walking at the same time. You understand? We may view it as a form of multitasking, but something will always have a negative repercussion on that.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly. So, you know, it's all about, when you go to Tongue, you don't stay in Tongue for the whole day. You could dedicate at least an hour to just being focused on task-oriented of what you want to do. I'm going to Tongue to shop. I'm going to the ATM to get some money. Focus specifically on that, because it can make the difference from you being a target, a soft target for persons to steal, for persons to commit fraud against you, and all those type of criminal elements. So it's definitely, and it's always important that you have to remember to make yourself a hard target.
Yeah.
You look at your pants. If you have two pants, one pants is you have a shallow pocket, the next pants you have a deep pocket. Of course, I would recommend that you use the pants with a deep pocket.
Especially if you're going to be carrying huge sums of cash.
Huge sums of cash.
As little as this may be also.
Exactly.
Make sure that it's secured.
Exactly. And that's very important in terms of deterring criminals from seeing you as a soft target. Another element that you can use is that you can always make persons aware of where you are. You know, family members, friends, let them keep tabs. Let them keep tabs on you. We live in that sort of individualistic age where we think that, you know, we don't want nobody know we business and this type of things. And that's fine. That's fine. You don't need to broadcast to Facebook or Twitter, Instagram that you're in Tongue, although some people do it, which again is a breach. I think it's a breach.
That is becoming a norm now.
Yeah.
It's becoming a norm. Everybody knows everybody's whereabouts.
Yeah.
It has its good and bad about it in some circumstances.
It's true. Yeah.
But it's good that folks know where you are, especially maybe family or
that's
so.
It. That's it.
Sometimes elements who wants to prey on you, depending on where you're at, they could say you become an easier prey by just being in that particular location.
Exactly.
And broadcasting that you're at that location.
That's it. And of course, we have all the festivities coming up. We have Reggae Fest on Saturday. We have Carnival opening very soon.
Yes.
The Carnival season opening very soon. Spice Mass will be having that launch. And we want persons to don't wait till Carnival come. Don't wait till the activities, Reggae Fest come or any other activity, national activity. Practice it now, while the activity is non-existent. While you're walking by yourself, you know, I hear the officer and GT talking about safety and awareness, but let me practice that. Let me teach my son and my daughter that so we can be safe all the time.
Yes.
I try to be as safe as possible, because sometimes things do happen and it's beyond our control. But and I want to stress this for persons listening out there. You have a lot of control of what takes place in your life and what happens to you on a daily basis. When you get out, especially when you step out of your house into the wild world, it's
just what you do makes a whole lot of difference. Just in that final outcome.
Passing top road instead of bottom road can save you a lot of time, energy, and not being a target. Passing in a well-lit area, not carrying the large sums of cash, making good decisions in terms of not approaching large groups of people. at questionable hours in the night, all these things. And there are a lot of naive persons out there, GT. You take it for granted that we're a safe country.
We are a safe country.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying, incidents do occur, because especially when you don't make it, as you keep stressing it, when you're making yourself not a hard time.
Yeah. Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
You know, you look like somebody. Sometimes your general appearance can give the influence that hey, I could do something to couple with Redhead because just the way he looks.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
Your whole demeanor.
Yeah.
You know, you mentioned something there, and in terms of cash carrying, I was it a week or two ago? I was in the town of St. George, and I went to the ATM, and there was an elderly person at the ATM. Yeah. And I'd probably ask someone to take some cash for them. Guess he probably knew the individual at the time. But in receiving the cash from the person, you know, the older folks, they like to roll up in the plastic.
They like to, yeah.
and well, it was a meal. And he put it in his back pocket. Yeah. But his T-shirt was pushing it together with the bag at the same time in the back pocket. And well, I went in after him, but I noticed what happened. But I thought the other person would have mentioned to him. Yeah. Then walking out to the ATM, moving out just a little wrong, I noticed his same T-shirt was in the pocket too with the cash. But I'm saying there were numerous individuals around. And
nobody's seen anything.
Nobody told him. So I had to end up going and say, I said, you had to fix that. Because he could have just easily pulled his T-shirt up.
And everything comes out.
You know, just come and take you and that's the thing. And then, you know, you lost that. Yeah. You know?
And, apart from your individualistic ideas of what you think safety is, it's very important that we look out for each other. And thankfully you were there to tell him.
Because he could have lost that. And then, you know, that may be what he had there to use for the week or so. And you know what, I've just lost that like that.
And he probably worked real hard to earn that money, you know. And that's important of us looking out for each other. Know? Today might be you, next day might be someone else, and that's important of us looking out for each other. I think that's what ascribes us to be one of the safest countries in the world, because we are a peace-loving people, a friendly people. I worked immigration for many years, and that's one overarching notion that has always been shared by persons traveling in and out of Grenada. You all are so friendly and loving, and there are people that they just...
Yeah, I mean, I look at visitors coming to our island sometimes, and I was looking at a couple of visitors the other day who were just riding around, and then they park up and sit down and in a rural part of the island. And I say to myself, if they were in their country, that may be a difficult thing for them to do.
Exactly, and I hear it all the time.
You know, it would have been something difficult for them to even contemplate doing it, because it's somewhere they probably come staying in some other part of the island and all on bicycles. Yeah, and they just packed up there,
definitely,
and congregated among themselves, you know, at ease.
And what's a bit humorous is that you would think that you have to go far the other side of the world to see a totally different thing happening. It's neighboring.
You know, because sometimes you're in other parts of the world and you yourself will not even contemplate doing that, because who you may have visited that part of the world literally don't do that, you know. Yeah. You may run into problems. Exactly. And they visit the island and you see. So that's why I'm saying, that's where looking out for each other also plays a role in your safety.
Most definitely. And it goes down to us. I always like that song, I'm so happy to see my neighbor, because it has a deep meaning in terms of looking out for your
neighbor that's happy to see you.
That is true. And that's the importance of being aware, because if you're aware, you would know that your neighbor don't want the best for you too.
But you're still happy to see them. You're still happy to see them.
Definitely.
You know?
First and foremost.
In general, make sure that your safety for yourself is pivotal. Yeah. And the safety for all of us. You look
exactly.
And you know, if we practice that, and it used to be a way of life in Grenada at one time, where we used to be our brother's keeper more.
It seems to be something of the past. I hope it comes back at some point.
You know, that has deteriorated a whole lot now. Maybe it may come back or not, but I guess it's the way of the world, the influences of other nations in the way they live themselves has kind of trickled down onto us.
That's it.
And everybody seems to have that segregated way about ourselves right now. But that needs to change.
Definitely.
It's not benefiting us.
At all. The individualistic, I fight with that word today, individualistic perspective is not the best from research and data. It's really not the best. When you look at collectivism and collectivist ideologies in society, those are usually the best, because people are generally more safe. They confide in each other, they look out for each other, and the society thrives.
You know, sometimes today someone will see someone entering someone's property and don't say anything.
Exactly. And why wouldn't you say anything?
You don't say anything, you know. I once looked at my security cameras around my house and someone was coming and I saw some individuals walking and didn't tell the individual nothing.
Yeah.
You know, like they say, go ahead and do what you want to do. You know, go ahead and do what you want to do. So these are the things sometimes we worry about. You got to look out for none of that. Because my safety could always trickle on to being your safety also.
That's it. We're interdependent upon each other. I think, and with the Farm Watch and so Community Watch was introduced a couple of years ago, and it was very effective. So why not continue? Let's continue looking out for each other.
You know, because it takes a lot of the burden off of the police as itself.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when I say take the burden off, if I've noticed something is happening that I deemed inappropriate, and I think it may hinder the safety of this particular family. Someone is lighting a fire. Someone is, you know, doing something that deems inappropriate. Yeah. And I bring it to the attention of the individual or the authorities.
10 houses from being burned down.
Exactly.
Yeah. It might seem it will seem small, like a small act, but the trickle effect, the domino effect, it goes a long, long way. Yeah.
And I certainly hope that we see a change in this particular moment. I mean, this conversation is not a first-time conversation.
Yeah.
It's not a first-time conversation, but somehow we are losing those tendencies as a people for reasons sometimes I don't understand.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's the introduction of technology and social media. Persons are a bit, you know, a lot of people hide behind social media, but you know, it's something that can come and go like that.
It's so true. Yeah, you know, you lose your phone today, you can't do it for a couple of weeks, right? Until you're able to replenish it again.
Exactly. So we need to pay attention to what matters, and people matter. Relationships among people matter. You know,
because he could make a whole lot of difference in somebody's lives, their overall safety also.
Yeah.
By you just congregate,
just being there and seeing something.
Let's take a break. When we come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks. On the Point Classic Radio, GBN TV. We will be right back. Don't touch it out. Right.
Right Choice Promotion presents Lyrics and Laughter, the ultimate pre-Mother's Day show. It's coming to the Grenada Trade Center on Sunday, May the 3rd from 5 p.m. Get ready for an evening of non-stop comedy, sweet Caribbean vibes, and pure entertainment. From Trinidad and Tobago, the funniest man in the region, Errol Fabian.
She said not even my shoes, I said no.
Humorous Calypsonians, Trinidad Rio.
Going back to basics.
And the Calypso Princess herself, Kareen Ash from the Spice Isle. 2 decades of legend, Randy Isaac, Little Reds, plus local comedy king, Robert White, Dillian Walters, Fat Man George, and Kareem Alexis, delivering lyrical mastery, 11-time Calypso Monarch scholar, all backed by the Heatwave Band, with special musical treats from Lyndon Langdon on sax and Jelani Moses on violin. It's lyrics, it's laughter, it's music, it's vibes. Tickets just $75. Available now at gotofed.com and other outlets island-wide. Treat mom, treat your partner, treat yourself. Lyrics and laughter. Sunday, May the 3rd, 5 p.m. Grenada Trade Center. Don't miss it. Grenada, the fire's about to be lit. Get ready for the ultimate grilling showdown. Maggie, King of the Grill 2026 is coming your way. Saturday, May the 30th at the Monroe's Plain Field. The search is on for the island's top grill masters. Do you have what it takes? Bring your flavor and compete in the chicken category, the seafood category, and the bold, most creative grill category, where daring ideas take the crown. And this year, the heat isn't just for adults. Introducing the Junior Grillers category. Schools and youth groups. If you are under 18, this is your time to shine. So fire up those coals, sharpen those grilling skills, and get ready to battle for grilling glory. Registration is now open. Call or WhatsApp 405-8458 to secure your spot. Maggie, King of the Grill 2026. Saturday, May the 30th, Monroe's Plain Field. Come for food, stay for the vibes, and witness who will be crowned King of the Grill. Brought to you by Maggie, enhancing the natural flavor of your food.
Welcome back once again to our listeners and viewers. Of course, we're talking general safety this morning. We have Corporal Redhead with us this morning from the Community Relations Department. We started off with the general public safety. That's our initial starting up the conversation this morning. Okay. We're talking this segment. We want to talk about water. You know, folks going on the beach. When we say water, we're talking about inland water areas. You know, like the lakes and stuff like that. Rivers who folks use. The beach safety. We even want to talk road safety in this segment
definitely also.
Because somehow they all intermingle together. All intermingle together.
Yeah.
Let's throw in some tips to our listeners and viewers this morning. The do's and don'ts, especially visiting the beach. We know we're at the Easter vacation. Maybe get into the wrapping up stage of it now. Yeah. But folks still who are on vacation, especially the youngsters who are home.
And they love the beach. They love going out on the beach on a weekend.
They live close to some water area, the rivers, close to the lake, and their mom, dad is not home. And when they left you home unattended. Let's talk to them about some safety tips in reference to that, especially the do's and don'ts in reference to
I'm happy you mentioned Easter, and with Easter comes that high wind velocity. And with the high wind, everything is connected, as you said earlier. So the wind affects the water. The water is rough. And persons, when you go into the beach, you should prepare in advance. What beach are we going on? You know? The Battery as opposed to the BBC, as opposed to the Grandlands, as opposed to a beach in Lansopine. That decision, first and foremost, preliminary decision, can change your experience greatly, immensely. So if you know a specific beach is really, really busy, I'm saying you can't go. But you won't go on the busy beach and do the same thing that you would do on the serene, peaceful beach.
Exactly.
Yeah. When you get to the beach, it's very important to assess the situation, because a lot of beaches, well, you know that GT, sometimes you know that this beach to be a peaceful beach, but when you get there, you realize water more than flower.
Something about the tide is higher than usual just today for whatever reason. Should I make that decision to go in and bathe or whatever? Or should I go in as much as possible, or should I stay closer to the shore?
That's it. So you assess the situation based on how rough that water is. And if you have children with you, you know, the assessment should be even more integral.
I mean, your concern level should have risen a whole lot more.
Exactly. Exactly. And if you decide to bathe, to utilize the beach on that day, then definitely you won't go out as far as you can. Don't try to be a hero, as we say in local parlance. You know, you stay as close to the shore as possible. Definitely stay as close to the shore where your foot can touch the ground. If you're on the beach, sometimes we value our privacy, and of course nothing is wrong with that, but sometimes it's better to bathe where use the area of the beach where other persons are.
Yeah.
So just in case
they can view you.
Definitely.
Just in case you become a little bit incapacitated in the water.
Yeah. Around this time, I personally would prefer to use a beach where there are lifeguards.
Yeah.
And I've noticed there are a lot of lifeguards on most of the beaches. I see it a lot on Grandlands Beach.
Yes.
So I would definitely, especially if I have children and my family, definitely utilize that area, because obviously if there's a lifeguard and something happens, the response time will be instantaneous.
Yes.
But it's supposed to be instantaneous, yeah?
Oh, it should be.
Yeah.
It should be.
Yeah. So, you know, it's a lot of it is common sense. But persons can be a bit lackadaisical sometimes around these times because, you know, it's a festive season, and don't be carried away by just the Easter weekend.
Yeah.
You know, after the Easter weekend, April continues, the high wind continues, the rough waters continues.
The beaches are still there, right?
The beaches are still there.
Yeah.
And you know, you should still have that level of concern when you're approaching the beach, especially when you have children. Don't leave them unsupervised. And GT, a lot of people think that it takes a minute, 2 minutes to turn your back and something happens to your child. It takes just a couple seconds.
Just a couple seconds and something.
Just one turn.
You know, I hear you mention it, but you know, sometimes folks have the tendency of not informing individuals when they go into these waterways and the beaches.
Yeah.
Not mentioning to no one. You know, I just feel like I'm going to take a but I don't mention it to anyone. Then you become missing and they wonder where you at.
Exactly.
Someone like that, especially the younger folks today.
Yeah.
And even adults who sometimes feels, well, I'm a big man or a big woman, so I could just go on the beach on my own accord and don't worry about it. But it's always good to let somebody know where you're going.
And nobody's too big to have an incident at the beach, to drown or to die at the beach. You have to bear that in mind. We all adults until something happens.
The best swimmers thing happens to the best of swimmers.
The best, and they say most times the best swimmers, because you think that you can fight the current, and fight the rough waters, and most times it's some of the best swimmers that end up drowning.
Losing their lives.
So it's very important, especially GT now. We have an influx of, well, they have always been there, but I guess maybe because of the dry season, some of the debris dried down, and a lot of private beaches are now becoming more visible. So it's very important when you're going, especially into these areas. Sometimes even if you can send a pin to a close family member, this is where I'll be today, just in case.
Yeah.
And we get a lot of bulletins of missing persons, and so we don't want that.
Yeah.
We don't want it at all. So it's very important that you communicate where you're going to, especially the private beaches. So at least we know where to start if we have to.
If it reaches that stage. I haven't seen GT return in the last 5 hours and told me he was going to the beach, so maybe I should go see what's happening. Yeah. You may not be a case of, but something else could have occurred on the beach that you may need assistance.
Definitely. And to family members, don't second guess. If you find an hour, 2 hours pass, you can check periodically.
Yeah.
Don't wait till 5 hours pass. You know what? He probably just chilling, man. Let me know disturb him. Yeah. Call and make sure that the person
make sure you get a feedback from the individual. Hey, I'm okay, and you continue. So know at least it brings a peace of mind, to you as an individual.
And people have a tendency to think that you can only because maybe it happens more predominantly. They think that the beaches are the only places that you can drown, but we have the rivers.
Yes.
We have the lakes, and the waterfall kind of ties into the rivers also. But these places where we saw an incident that happened recently, and I just want to admonish persons to be careful. And even with our tourism sector and persons coming in, and I see it happening a lot. So I'm pleased that that we look out for our tourists when they come.
Yeah,
we would see them if they're going the wrong way. We would tell them no, not this way, that way. But even our local persons, you need to be very careful, not just in the water, but the area where the water passes. For example, well, you know that GT, when you on the river stones, they can be very slippery.
Yeah. I mean, I'm from a road.
So, you have first-hand knowledge.
What did you say? Use a lot. Right.
Yeah. So persons have to be very careful, even when traversing. Easter time, people love to go hiking also.
Yeah.
Be very careful when you go through the bushes, going through the rivers. It's very possible that you can slip and fall, and, you can hit any part of your body, from your head to your toe. Yeah. And, everything is connected by nerves. You hit the wrong place. And sometimes it doesn't have to be you die instantly or something like that. You can be there for a long time. And it can get worse. Wherever you hit can get worse. So that's why we mentioned earlier that it's very important to communicate where you are.
Yes.
And have persons capable with you. Don't try to be a hero. That's the
I mean,
for today.
When you're going to be making those do these kind of adventures, per se, try to do it in groups.
Yes.
Or than you individually.
Move by yourself.
These things. Even though you think you are capable of managing it by yourself, but sometimes things could occur.
Yeah.
We've been having a lot of rain, so trails and so could be a little bit slippery, and all these things. You could slip and something could occur that you were not intending for.
Exactly.
You understand?
Exactly.
And the end result may not be the one that people want to hear about.
And it spills over into even the way you are dressed. You won't go on a hike with slippers, or you're going to,
proper gear is important.
Proper gear. You have your backpack and you're ready according to Muddy, and you have all your essentials. You have enough water to drink just in case. Grenada is not too small to get lost in. There are some areas you go hiking in a mountainous area, and you take a wrong turn, and they say if you go straight,
and it can take you a couple hours to get that right direction that you wanted to go in the initial stages. So that.
And dehydration can lead to a plethora of other symptoms and issues. And we try to take our checkups as regular as possible, but do we really know that we are completely healthy all the time?
You don't always get the right result always. You know.
Yeah.
I want us to piggyback also on road safety, because this is another concern that with the adverse of the amount of vehicles on the roads today. And not only for pedestrians who are walking along on the national road, but for drivers in particular. courtesy plays a big role in it also.
Yeah, definitely.
In terms of safety, because you being courteous to someone could save another one's life.
Definitely, yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Let's talk
and we've
about
seen. Well, let me start by saying we've seen coming into the Easter. And people normally wait around that time to take the chances.
Yeah.
And you can see it. Sometimes you see a young guy driving and you wonder, I wonder if this guy have a license, right? I find he looking kind of shaky, you know? And we've had a slight increase. And it happens during the holiday period.
Or vacation time per se.
Yeah,
You know?
everybody want to take a little chance.
Let me take a chance.
Yeah.
I feel I've been backing in and out of my garage so good all of them. So let me try the main roads now.
Yeah. And I must commend the traffic department, because they have been very circumspect. I'm sure you've seen them doing a lot of the stop and searches.
Yes.
A lot of people don't like stop and search, and I don't know why. You know, if the only how you wouldn't like it is if you're driving illegally. Exactly.
But once you're legal and you know all you have all the instruments that is appropriate to you don't need to.
I love a stop and search, because police officers, they stop. And what do people think happen when there's a stop and search?
But I always feel good when I know that if I'm stopped by the police and I have all my documentation that is appropriate.
Exactly.
My license is up to date. My insurance is up to date.
Yeah.
My vehicle is roadworthy.
Exactly. And
you feel good because you get that pass, which means you know you can go ahead.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah. And the deterrence that it causes, the prevention that it causes, it's insurmountable, because just a little scenario. Sherry up the road and it's Easter time. Sherry's son, Kevin, outside playing. He flying a kite. The kite goes, so you running down the road to see, to try. You know how these things around Easter time, how it is. And an unlicensed driver, being reckless, hits Kevin in the road.
Lacking the experience in driving, because most of the times
when you're taking a chance, you're not
because you're lacking
around.
the experience. You understand?
Exactly. And I'm not saying that it can't happen with a licensed driver, but it greatly increases, because why do we have mechanisms in place for you to get a license in the first place? It's so that you can be a competent driver.
Yes.
So when we don't want too much incompetence, we don't want no incompetence on the road, and you're an incompetent driver when you don't have your license in the first instance.
Yes. Because if your license show there's a level of competence that you are able to go through the process.
Exactly. And that's what people need to understand is the purpose of the stop and search, to prevent as much illegal drivers on the road as possible. And it branches off even more from the license into, is your vehicle roadworthy? Because that same driver who hit Kevin can have a tire that has worn and torn away and is unusable, and it rendered it because of its deterioration, the slippage increases.
And your friction is reduced a whole lot by having smooth tires and so forth.
Exactly. Yeah. So, sometimes you wonder, do people really understand what the police is trying to achieve? And this is fundamental. This is important. Let me say this. It shouldn't be just the job of the police. You as a civilian should watch a vehicle and say, I don't think
this should be on the road.
It should not be on the road. Because my family on the road every day. My daughter, my son, my mother, my father. And it can happen to a lot of us, we live years on this planet, and we think that because something hasn't happened, that it can happen.
It can't happen to you. But you never know. There could be that split seconds where a difference can be made. Yeah. I mean, and individuals owning their vehicles, it's imperative to you take it up on your own to make sure that your vehicle is in
make sure it's up to par.
It's in appropriate condition for that. Because some people know that you're driving and you know your brakes aren't working. For some reason, you know that.
You're hearing a noise, you see a light come on.
You're hearing light.
Pay attention to these things.
And you think, I ain't gonna worry about that. I will check it next week. I will check it tomorrow. And today may be the day you should have paid more attention to it.
Exactly. And let me remind persons that we're in the licensing period still, so pay attention to your sticker and go before your time expires so that you can keep your vehicle up to date. Don't be upset with the officers who are inspecting. I'm not saying that maybe one can be unreliable, but and unfair. But most of the officers are very competent. They have been doing it for years, and they're very competent, and they know what to look for. Sometimes you may not see the importance of what they're looking for and what they're failing you for, but work with the officers, because it's all for our general safety.
And it's for your general safety in particular too, because you may be thinking, well, someone is saying, well, I've been hearing a gentleman saying, well, why should I worry about the oil dripping from my vehicle?
Can you imagine?
It is my vehicle, so it's my problem. And why the police are telling me that I have to get that oil leak or whatever I have in my engine fixed?
Yeah.
He's saying
he doesn't see the danger.
He was saying that should not be the problem of the police. He's telling me. I mean, sometimes there are things that I mentioned. I think is a little bit over the top.
Yeah,
you understand. I understand.
Yeah.
And they was telling him that
It's fair,
why should I worry about my engine being leaked? But I'm saying, in general, it's for your overall benefit also. You understand? That oil leak they could cause a fire sometime.
Yeah.
You understand?
Even other road users, it can cause. Imagine a bike man coming through
and you have that oil leak that is dropping leaks on the ground. Somebody could slip, fall, and all of these things. So sometimes you may see that something that you should be worried about, and not
and
the
it's a
police
bit
who
selfish.
is inspecting your vehicle.
It's a bit selfish.
But it's for your overall safety in general.
Exactly.
Because your brakes are not working properly. You go to do the inspection and they tell you go get your brakes fixed. So your handbrakes are not pulling properly. They say go get that fixed. And you may think, well, I've been driving that vehicle so long,
and nothing happening.
I know how to pull it, and so I shouldn't worry. You shouldn't worry about it. It's mine.
Yeah.
But it's for the overall safety.
Takes one
because that
concern.
time you may need it. It may not be functioning at that particular time because it's been showing you these signs of deterioration for long as well.
Definitely.
A couple of we do for a break. Let's take it. When we come back, we continue the conversation. Stay with us, folks, on the Point Classic Radio, GBN TV. We will be right back.
Senior women's national team returns to the pitch for a massive CONCACAF W qualifier, and they need your power behind them. Tuesday, April 14th, Karani James Athletics Stadium, Grenada versus Cayman Islands. Kickoff 5 p.m. This is national pride. This is passion. This is the road to glory. Tickets, adults just at $25, children $10, and kids under 12 get in free. Get your tickets now at gotofet.com or at these outlets: Chucky's Bar, Grenadian Optical, St. George's, and Spiceland Mall. GFA office. Bring your flags, bring your voice, and come support our Grenada women's national team as they battle for victory. Follow the journey on social media at Grenada Football Association. Grenada versus Cayman Islands, April 14th, 5 p.m. Be there and stand with Team Grenada.
The Presentation Brothers College and the St. Joseph's Convent St. George's Choirs presents Voices Lifted in Hope.
Everybody shouting.
An uplifting, inspiring experience featuring the joint choir for the first time in youthful exuberance, along with students from other secondary schools across Grenada. Join us on April 18th at the Grenada Trade Center, starting from 7 p.m. Adults pay $40, students pay $20, and VIP for $80. Voices Lifted in Hope. Come out and support the nation's youth as they showcase their talent. April 18th at the Grenada Trade Center. Do not miss this.
welcome back once again to our listeners. Welcome back to our viewers, of course. In the process as we chime in along, if you're a listener viewer and you want to chime in on the conversation, feel free. 435-2041, 435-2041. We have double options for you to call in, whether it's the WhatsApp or the direct line. 435-2041. That's the number. Of course, if the conversation seems to be something that grab your interest in. So we're talking overall safety this morning. Myself and Corporal Redhead here with us this morning, and I opened the line, and of course someone is calling.
Really?
So it wasn't really the time, but we still with us to take the call as we move on through this morning. Yeah. Caller, you're live. Good morning and welcome. Caller, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Telesford. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear, sir. Go right ahead.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear, sir. Go right ahead.
You have a problem seemingly on your end. I can hardly hear you. Seems that the transmission coming in or going into your system, there may be a problem there. But I'll talk nonetheless. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Greetings to your guest.
Go right ahead, sir.
Before I go any further, just a bit of... I beg your pardon?
Go right ahead, sir. Go right ahead.
Yes, first of all, a bit of pedantry for the Mr. Gentleman. What's the name again? Mr. Redhead?
Yes, sir.
Listen, Mr. Redhead. The use of the word persons in the English language has specific applications. It is normally used for statutes, memoranda, SROs, etc., in official institutionalized documentation and, of course, verbal expression. But it has a second plural, the word person, which is people. So in general terms, general usage, you use people. And, of course, people has 101 synonyms. If you refer to the people who use vehicles on the road, you use drivers instead of persons. If you're talking about the people on the beach, in the water, you call them swimmers and not persons. So I hope my message is clear. Please try to use things as an official representative of the representation of the state, that in your communication you try to do to just a bit of pedantry. Don't get offended. That's how I am.
No. All right.
I love it.
Let's go now to the meat of the matter. Safety. And in all your utterances, I hear you speaking of safety for those who, quote unquote, can see. But what of those who cannot see and also have the right to move about, as established by international law and general humanitarian rights? I move around because I was trained to do so. But to give you a couple of examples of my problems, I crossed the street on Church Street recently, diagonal to the Anglican Church, to take the rail, a guardrail that I know, on the long steps. And what did I collide with? A car. Right in front of the guardrail. Now, who is looking at that? Who is looking out for the safety of the visually impaired who has the capacity to move around? Nobody. I know, based on my inquiries and so on, I have to do this, that in certain parts of the town of St. George, there are no parking markings in the road. So I put myself there with confidence only to collide with vehicles. Who looks at my safety there? The side of the road from my village to the medical station, garbage is piled up on the edges of the road, especially on the bridge, that I have to walk exactly 4 feet on the inner side of the bridge without being able to touch the curb. This has been denounced from time to time. Who looks at my safety there? Nobody, always spoken about. So when we talk about safety, we have to consider that there are other people with different, would you understand it, capacities who have to also be where the safety of said people are to be or is to be provided by the state. By the state. I end by saying this as it relates to traffic. A couple days ago, and I was in the company of my little daughter here. We were crossing the road after we got onto the pedestrian crossing, faded painting of the pedestrian crossing. She guaranteed that there was no traffic on either side, and we started to walk. But all of a sudden, we're in the middle of the road. A vehicle came down the road, quote unquote, as a bat out of hell, and he passed behind our backs while we were crossing the road. No. What sort of thing is that? I asked about the painting, and I was reliably informed that the paintings, especially the restriction marks and the pedestrian crossing at the entrance of the Simon Bowl of Lackalome, is faded. faded. The painting around the bus stop is also, because they leave me on the bus stop and they stop in other parts, pick up people and pass me standing on the bus stop. Don't ask me how I know it, because I have my references. That is my duty and that's my obligation to find out so when I position myself, I know where I am. Who's looking after my safety there? So my point is this, as I round up. Safety doesn't only relate to those who can see and those who are privileged and those who are healthy today. No, it relates to all. So while I laud and applaud your contribution, sir, because you really do make sense as it relates to safety, remember, safety in the country has to deal with all and sundry of the population. I trust what I said makes sense to you. Do have a nice day. Will you?
Thank you, sir. Thank you a whole lot.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate. I love the penitentiary as you that you started with. Sometimes we get a little carried away when we have in the conversation, especially with GT. He's a great conversationalist. So but it's all about getting the message out there and having persons to understand. And of course, while the police is not a panacea for every single issue in society, it's stakeholders, everybody, we're working together. We do. It's inclusion. It's inclusive of everyone. The impaired, not impaired. Everyone is included under the arc of the Royal Grenada Police Force and who we serve and protect. I've seen a lot of the traffic officers dealing with the issue of parking recently. I've seen it with my own eyes, so I'm very pleased to say that the officers are working, traffic officers especially. A lot of persons, they're getting clamped for parking in unauthorized parking spots. But we need more people like you, sir. So thank you for that contribution. I've noted some of the things you said, and I will pass it on to the officer in charge of traffic as it relates to parking by that step there, with the railing opposite the Anglican Church, and some other important things that you said. So thank you for that.
I think I noticed there's a sign where it says it's designated for the clerk. Is it the registry secretary?
Oh, right.
I think
At
there's
the
a
top
sign.
side?
I think there's a sign.
Maybe
it's designated park.
I have to visit that area again and make sure.
We looked into or something at the side. There's a sign that said it's for no parking is only for the registrar clerk or something like that. Yeah. We do have another caller. Caller, live. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, GT. Good morning to the officer.
Good morning. Welcome.
Okay. A guy who teaching people to drive, just driving in Spiceland Mall, with someone behind the wheel teaching to drive. He parked up, not in the parking lot. He parked up in the road, but he could pass on the other side. And he live when he go inside Spiceland Mall and buy something. I turn and tell him, I say, you're teaching somebody to drive, teach him the right thing. He walk off and he go. So the security see and the security ask. He say, why are you doing this? I say, just leave and go in the mall and buy something. I leave the guy in the car behind the steering, park up in the road. So the security come and tell him about it. So I tell him, you're teaching somebody to drive, teach him the right thing. He say, others will do the same thing too. So we're talking to him. He say, how your mother count and so on and so on.
Caller, we may have to cut your call. I understand you, but you can't use such refrain on air. So sorry about that. Yeah. It's an observation the caller had.
Yeah,
I understand the observation, but he should control his
the language.
the
language. Yeah, you have to be careful with the language. Everyone can hear it, including the children.
Yeah.
But I understand what you're saying, caller, and that was very irresponsible of him, especially he has a greater responsibility to the public and to ensuring that his student learns everything the correct way and not blaming other persons. So he needs to get it right.
And it's also an observation too, because I've seen a lot of individuals doing it, and it could impair other individuals' safety.
Yeah.
There's an entrance and an exit for the same Spiceland Mall area, and I'm seeing folks were using the entrance or the exit, as an entrance.
Yeah. And there's a reason why there's entrance and exit on
folks are doing that. So I understand folks sometimes feel they could break the rules, but that could impair other people's safety.
Yeah. But what that caller can do is he can report that instructor to the school, the center at Dusty Highway, because I know I am Inspector Thomas down there. He's in charge, and he's very strict with them in terms of how they deal with the students and how they train them and so to be on the public road. So he can report them to. And I'm sure he'll have a conversation with him and get to...
Okay. Caller, you're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
How are you, sir?
Go right ahead, please.
Hold on.
And you have a device a little bit too loud in the background. Have it lowered, please.
That's better?
Go right ahead, please.
Yeah, and good morning to the officer. Right, my little input this morning is yes, there must be law, right? There must be legislation. Wherever there is a society, wherever people live, and in this modern time, there must be laws and legislation. But what I'm saying is that okay, the emphasis should be all right. More laws and more legislation. The thing about it is we should teach people, or the law should teach people, to live more responsible. Live responsible. I mean, because you see, to me, the thing is about more laws and more legislation and increasing the police force. Yes, I say there must. I'm not downplaying the existence of laws and things. But what I'm saying is, people, right apart from that, people must be taught to live responsibly, right? And if the emphasis is on that, then I think half of our problems, maybe not half, but a great percentage of our problem will be, we will get rid of it. Because you see, at the end of the day, if there is only laws and laws and laws and laws, I mean, people is reluctant to obeying laws and to this law and that law. But if you teach them and you show them where how they should live responsibly and the importance of living responsibly, then I think we'll do a lot better. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, caller.
Caller, you strike gold there. I don't even think you know that you strike gold, but you strike gold. And this is the direction that we are currently going. The Commissioner of Police, Mr. Randy Connaught, one of his main tenets is that of community policing. And community policing is not focused on the laws and just an implementation of the law. It deals with the community officers. I'm sure you have seen officers in your community coming, speaking to the public and instilling in them that sense of responsibility, that they are also responsible for the crime taking place around them and reporting it, and so we can work together to make sure that our communities are safe. So that's a very, very valid point.
All right, we do have another caller. What's up, caller? You're live. Good morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
And good morning to the officers. My concern is really deep, especially at nights. During the day, you'll see them with the flag, direct police flag along the traffic. At nights, they do the same, but in the night, you can't see the flag. So I suggest that they should have the handheld illuminated so it can signal to oncoming vehicles. Yeah, and then I think too, the vehicle should be lighted, so people know exactly the length and the size of vehicle that is on the road in the night. Those are my two concerns.
Thank you, caller. Thank you.
I know sometimes I see them with the caution lights on, but that's a very, very good point. Especially late at night, when sometimes it's more, and especially for poorly lit areas. Mm-hmm. That's a concern I'll also bring up with the officer in charge of traffic. I think it's a valid one.
All right. Yeah. We due for a break, which will be our final break for the morning. Let's take it and we come back. We just have a few more minutes left, but let's take that break and we come back. We continue the conversation and probably get some closing contributions on return. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. Don't touch it down.
Right Choice Promotion presents Lyrics and Laughter, the ultimate pre-Mother's Day show. It's coming to the Grenada Trade Center on Sunday, May the 3rd from 5 p.m. Get ready for an evening of non-stop comedy, sweet Caribbean vibes, and pure entertainment. From Trinidad and Tobago, the funniest man in the region, Errol Fabian.
She said not even my shoes, I said no.
Humorous Calypsonians, Trinidad Rio.
Going back to basics.
And the Calypso princess herself, Corrine Ashton from the Spice Isles. 2 decades of legend, Randy Isaac, Little Reds, plus local comedy king, Robert White, Dillian Walters, Fat Man George, and Kareem Alexis, delivering lyrical mastery, 11-time Calypso Monarch scholar, all backed by the Heatwave Band, with special musical treats from Lyndon Langdon on sax and Jaleli Moses on violin. It's lyrics, it's laughter, it's music, it's vibes. Tickets just $75. Available now at gotofed.com and other outlets island-wide. Treat mom, treat your partner, treat yourself. Lyrics and laughter. Sunday, May the 3rd, 5 p.m. Grenada Trade Center. Don't miss it.
Before the digital age, before the world moved at the speed of a click, there was a signal connecting a nation. In 1986, a journey in broadcasting began in Grenada, a journey that would grow into a trusted voice across the country. For 40 years, through radio and television, we've been there for the stories that shaped our nation, the news that mattered, the voices that informed us, the moments that brought us together. Your stories, your voices, your moments. The Grenada Broadcasting Network, 40 years strong, one nation, one network.
Welcome back to our listeners. Welcome back to our viewers. We just have about, let's say, rounding off to about 5 more minutes left on today's edition of To The Point. The lines are still open, of course, for listeners and viewers who want to chime in with any, of course, questions or two they may like to ask. There's a contribution here from someone via the WhatsApp. Let me see if I can get it out. Someone is saying, I've seen some tractor trailers running without a flagman or as we refer to it, is it how do you refer to it? Is that in the front?
The front runner?
Yeah,
I think
there's a name they call it.
There's so many different names, flagman.
And so they're saying, why could these heavy trucks run from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.? That's, of course, especially
to alleviate the issue of the
heavy traffic sometimes that they do. Shock a bit.
I've thought about it myself, to be honest, and I've heard a lot of people saying it, but I think it's a bit unrealistic because people, the companies, they have their deadlines to meet also. I think what we can do maybe put more control mechanisms in place so we can limit the amount of them moving at one time. So if it's not something urgent, maybe they can make applications and traffic to notify traffic.
I also noticed once we had a same trailer that was struck traffic from, it was on the road from maybe around 7 p.m. And it was carrying a excavator or something on the top, and it slowed the traffic down. I mean, even though it was 7 p.m. and was trying to go up the lane, and that took a really long time. So you imagine you're in traffic there for a pretty long time. And I was saying maybe that could have done around midnight also in terms of moving that when there's less traffic on the road.
What I'm thinking is too that if there's in some way some release can be made so persons can know this trailer truck will be going from Grandans to Tongue at this time, and maybe persons can even use an alternative route, but without knowledge, you don't have.
You run into there, and then sometimes you get trapped. You're between other vehicles, so you can't turn around to move. And it took almost 45 minutes to get around that area because the corners and stuff they have to move around. So sometimes
huge inconvenience.
Inconvenience at the time, and you are moving. So Corporal Redhead, I think we got into that time of the morning where we may have to take a wrap for today's edition of To The Point. Of course, it really turned into an open conversation, even though safety was our
I love it that
conversation this morning. It
there are some burning concerns.
I want to thank you once again. I'm not sure if anything you want to, of course, reference to before we take a wrap for today.
Most definitely. I just want to, reiterate that safety, general safety is all of our concern. It should be all of our concern. It should be a priority for each and every one of us. I want to implore on persons to utilize the police contact numbers, the 911, get in contact with your nearest police station, have the numbers, even have a relationship with the officers. Get to know who your officers are in your area. In case anything happens, you're able to call them. Practice awareness. We're still in the season. Easter season, in terms of the flying of the kites and so don't fly close to the airport. You still have to be responsible as parents. We're still out of school. Ensure that the kids are not just outside. You don't know where they are. They're outside late hours. You have to ensure that the safety is your number one priority. Even leaving them home alone. All these different things. It's just all about being security minded. Having a mindset that you want to be safe, you want your household to be safe, and we have to work together. And the police, of course, is always a phone call away.
All right. Yeah. Corporal, once again, thank you a whole lot for popping in and sharing the information this morning. Certainly hope all listeners and viewers would adhere to some of the information that we thrown out this morning in reference to safety.
Definitely.
Because, of course, you being safe could, of course, help someone else to be safe.
Exactly.
Right?
Thank you for having me.
Sure, you're certainly welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, folks, join me again for another edition of To The Point. That'll be tomorrow. Until then, have a good one. What's left off today, Thursday. That's where we say goodbye.